I'm Jon Richardson, stand-up comic and team captain on panel show 8 out of 10 Cats, where I'm known as the one who's a little bit OCD.
You've got most OCDs, haven't you?
What? No, they're not OCDs, they're just correct ways of doing things. If I was sensible, I would say, well, do you know what, it evens out when I get home, but then sometimes I can't remember if I've got uneven on the left.
For fuck's sake!
For much of my life, I've been on a quest for perfection. This is how things should be done. Oh, that's horrible. I'm the first to admit that I'm a little bit obsessive. Technically, this is a sport, but to me, it's just tidying a table. But as for obsessive compulsive disorder, I don't know much about it, or whether I've got it.
It must be exhausting to kind of spend all that effort writing comedy and then go, right, now I've got to sort my shoes out.
Hello, John. To help me find out, I'd like to meet some of the 1 million people in Britain who have the condition.
We wash our hands for like 2 hours, and it'll be like 2 in the morning.
People for whom living with OCD is no joke.
I'd rather not shake hands at the moment.
Fair enough,
no
absolutely
offence.
fine.
We were born with a time bomb ticking in our heads.
Cause of death, obsessive compulsive disorder.
And I hope to discover whether or not I really have OCD. For as long as I can remember, I've dreamt of being a stand-up comic.
Great, so if you want to make some comfortable after your dress room, we'll come and see you in a minute.
Right, I'll see you in a bit.
See you then.
But making my living from comedy means coming face to face with some of my compulsions. The venue stinks. Nothing is symmetrical. There are noises and lights that aren't in the right place. But you can't fix everything, can you? These are my responsibilities, the laughs, and then everything else is just a sign of how wrong the world is. This is where they send me to chill out and then they put stuff like this on the walls, which absolutely drives me insane. There's stuff missing, it's not symmetrical. There's 2 on that side and there's only 1 on the left-hand side. And then there's 1 missing in there. If I'm trying to look at my notes and learn my notes and I can see that the papers aren't tidy and at right angles, my brain's just saying, move the Guardian, move the Guardian, move the Guardian. So it's easiest to just line the Guardian up and then I can focus dead ahead and keep my mind just on learning my hilarious jokes.
Please welcome your host, Jon Richardson.
It's not just symmetry that bothers me. When I'm walking down the road, I'm secretly scanning the pavement for things that will unsettle me. So they look the same, but that one's got an extra grid round it. So I need to take all of that one, but then make sure I don't quite go right to the front of that one. But that would all happen in half a second. I know I'm not the only one who has rules about where I can walk on the pavement, but I've never actually spoken about this to another pedantic pedestrian.
No, of course I haven't.
Comedian Tom Rosenthal of Channel 4's Friday Night Dinner has been aware for years of unusual walking habits. Hello there. How are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Should we go for a walk?
Let's do it.
Let's go for a walk in the sunshine.
Go for a stroll.
I'm very aware when I'm crossing the road if I've stood on a yellow line with my right foot and not with my left foot.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of that.
Yeah, big time.
Like if I were to stand on that bit there, I would very much know I'm never going to find that bit of tarmac again.
this is exactly it,
So
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
avoid that.
Yeah. My brain sort of separates stuff like this, a pathway, into different segments. So we've got like a light grey thing here, and then your dark grey thing here. And so I've kind of worked this into the way that I walk.
Like me, Tom feels compelled to step on things an even number of times so that he feels balanced. Yeah, see, this is nice, isn't it?
It's good.
Feel free and
It is
easy.
good. I'm still getting, things though, like the cracks. Like if I put my right foot like even near it, I want to put my left foot in the similar distance away from the crack when I'm walking, and then sort of step over it and do the same the other side.
Should we have a break and then forget
Let's chill
that
out.
this problem exists for a while?
Let's relax.
Tom has been diagnosed by a specialist as having low-level OCD.
He said something to me about if you do for more than like an hour a day, if like the stuff that you do adds up to more than an hour a day, you do have OCD, basically. It becomes a significant part of your life, and I think that is definitely the case with me, that everything that I'm doing is infinitesimal and actually takes a very short amount of time because I'm doing it constantly. I clearly do suffer from it, like, clinically.
Do you feel you're getting worse then, or do you feel you're...
I think, yeah, at the moment I am getting worse, actually, just because I'm noticing new ones. It is worrying. I had this thing when I was watching football live at the stadium. If I would brush the guy in front of me with my arm, I'd have to do it again. But, you know, he can feel me doing that, so he's going like, why is this man touching me all the time?
Wow.
It's weird, but...
It's interesting, you're the first person I've ever walked with who has had the same thing as me. Would you say I have OCD?
Well, I have an issue saying I have OCD simply because I know people suffer from it a lot more. And for that exact reason, I think I actually operate perfectly well and that my life is kind of normal. However, we clearly both do have, like, compulsions that are abnormal.
That was somebody saying very clearly for the first time something I've been doing for a long time. And it's sort of frightened me a little bit. Now I'm starting to get a bit worried that maybe I do have more irrational ones than I thought. What concerns me most of all is how my particular ways of doing things affect my relationships with those around me. For the past year, I've been sharing a house with two comics, Matt Ford and Danny Buckler.
How's life? Life's good.
For me, living here is far from anxiety-free. This is how I would have it, and this is how it... this is how it goes. See how that needs to happen? So this is the source of most arguments in the house. What I do ask is that when you wash cutlery, you then put it in the cutlery holder. We take this over to the cutlery drawer, where we put forks on the left, knives in the middle, spoons on the right, teaspoons at the bottom, facing to the left, steak knives on the far left. This is how things should be done. It's like a beach, just after the tide's washed out.
I had no idea this had been a festering problem, that you've been smoothing it out.
You never see it happen. You don't come in and find him there, I've got to get this all straight and I've got to get that lined up. It just sort of happens. It's like living with a ghost. I did come in once, one occasion, where this OCD, where I came in and like the sauces, you had the tomato sauce, this barbecue sauce, and this HP lined up, and they were all even. What it looked like is that he'd been squirting them down the sink to try and get them to kind of in a perfect line.
Johnny's never rude or aggressive, but he'll have his little bits where you can hear him going...
This door leads to my room, but we can't go in there because I don't like people to go in. So this is this side of the door I have to deal with messy rooms and stuff that isn't tidy. This side of the door is where I can switch my brain off and know that everything is my choice and where it goes. This is the only little bit of the earth that is mine. I actually get very angry if people, you know, even if Matt and Danny sort of peek their head in the door, I lose my temper. So do I have a medical disorder? Or am I just an annoying man who has to have things exactly the way he wants? And how early in life do these kinds of compulsions start to take hold? On the North Wales coast lives a teenager who's recently been diagnosed as having OCD. Jon has only just turned 16, but he's already got compulsions that are taking over his everyday behaviour.
Goes like an even amount of times that way. It just feels sort of right. Go to unscrew this, I'll do that. And that on the exact side, so I get a whole feel around sort of what the bottle, which is sort of a pointless compulsion.
Hello, Jon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Jon too. How are you? Seem like quite a careful step.
Yeah, I like to slide my feet a even number of times because it's just sort of the feeling of it. It sort of feels
Only
right
on
when
the
I do
bottom
that.
2 steps or on all the steps?
On the bottom 2, and then on the rest of them I'll just sort of do a sort of little slide, but the first 2, when I walk through a door, tap twice, once here, once there, walk inside the door, tap once here and once there on the opposite side, and then I'll just walk through the door, and then usually I'll slide my feet on this, and then walk through, and I'll slide twice on each foot, Every time I go to sit down on the chair, I'd sit like on the end like this, and I'd slide 3 times on the chair, and then on the 4th one slide backwards.
So you have lots of compulsions, like with sitting and doors and...
Yeah, this would be the same with anything. If I took my phone out of my pocket, I'd slide it before, well, same as me sitting down, really.
When did you first notice things happening?
I was about 6 or 7 years old, and I was getting probably bullied. That sort of, the stress I was under sort of triggered it. And the first compulsion was sort of the tapping the doors, and that's sort of how it started.
What's the worst it's got then?
I'll have a compulsion every 2 seconds. Like, I'd sort of just like stand on the spot and just not be able to think. I'd be standing there for, I don't know, maybe hours, just like with the amount of stress I'm under, just thinking what I can do to sort of break the cycle, sort of thing. And it's sort of irrational and stupid as well, but it's just something you can't really control with it.
You know as you're doing it that really it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But you can't not do it.
Yeah. Well, I'll be washing my hands for like 2 hours, and it'll be like 2 in the morning. I'll just think I want to go to bed now. I think I can't do it. If I could, I'd cut out the pointless compulsions, like the tapping doors, things like that, on cracks in the pavements.
People will just think, well, why don't you then? Because you could just not touch the door.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult to explain, I guess, that feeling you would get if you did do that. What would happen to you? What would you feel inside?
It would sort of stress me out, and because I was stressed out, it would sort of play on my mind even more and make me do other compulsions. And it's not really something you can just say, right, I'm not going to do it, no matter how much it plays on your mind.
Hello. How are you?
Nice to meet you.
I'd like to find out from Jon's parents how much his OCD affects his life outside home. Thank you very much. What struck me is how sort of constant it seems for him. So it's not, I feel that I have a couple of things I do, but with him it seems from the moment he wakes up to the moment he goes to bed, there are things he's having to deal with.
This is the worry because it affects his life, really, And you think in future life, how is that going to affect relationships? How's it going to affect career, education? He's done his GCSEs now.
What we're worried about now is how is he going to get on in college. We're hoping he can get some treatment, get some help.
If he can learn to control it and get it just so that it's just now and again, or it's just a few little things he does, then hopefully he'll be able to suppress it and contain it. Because, I don't want OCD really to be what defines him.
I had no idea that OCD could come on so strong at that age. To see someone who, in an effort to control things and make himself feel comfortable, is actually starting to be controlled by the number and volume of compulsions he's having. I just wasn't prepared for that at all. It just feels like you should be able to go, right, don't do it anymore. 1, 2, miss a few, 99, 100, that's it, finished. And it isn't like that. It's so unclean, and it was the first joke I heard about it. Was used to say I never say I've got OCD because it's got the word disorder in it and it seems untidy, which at the time was a flippant joke, which I regret. But now I think if I'm learning anything from this is that it is untidy. It's a mess, and it makes people's lives a mess, and it's not fair. I've come back to Bristol to trace where my compulsions started to take hold. I was at Bristol University and I left after a year and a half, and that's when I started controlling my world a lot more. And that's also the time I moved in with 3 other comics, Mark, Jon and Russell. And my memory of living with them is I remember being very angry a lot of the time about a lot of stuff that didn't matter, and that's the first time I really realised it was going to cause problems with other people and with friends. I spent a lot of time moaning about teaspoons, which I sorely regret now. I'm here to meet up with my old flatmates. Comedians Jon Robbins, Mark Olver, and an up-and-coming young scamp named Russell Howard, who you may have seen on one of the other channels. We did have arguments about the teaspoons, because they would disappear.
The spoon wars.
What we call the spoon wars.
The spoon wars in 2006.
Of all the people I've met who I would say are on a scale, I would say you're probably the furthest left in that you have no compulsions or bacteria things at all.
If I left some Rice Krispies hanging around, I don't give a shit. Whereas you would put as much into everything, into every tiny little thing, which is probably overall better, but it just must be exhausting to kind of spend all that effort writing comedy and then go, right, now I've got to sort my shoes out. But that same level of dedication to menial tasks.
That did unhinge you quite a lot, is when it's the lack of control.
I feel like I could have saved you if it weren't for him. I feel like...
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every time I just got you around to washing the cups properly and things, you would just sort of pour chocolate into the radiators. And then you would just think, I'm not going to worry about the cup anymore. You know, in terms of the wider perception of obsessive compulsive disorder, it's something that, whether you thought I had a genuine case or not, you were quite happy to play with. People would take spoons into their rooms. When you take them into your room, you're stealing them. You're not just leaving a spoon and not washing it.
Yeah, but also, hang on, you didn't mind that. It didn't kill you.
It didn't kill me, but it made me tense in my house. But I used to go and sleep in the car some nights because I hated being in the house, because I thought, oh my God, they hate me and they know that I'm an arsehole about spoons.
Do you remember? Oh, that's awful.
Living with other people and thinking...
When did that happen?
Quite a few nights I would go to sleep.
You didn't.
Yeah, I did.
I would have changed their ways. If you were that miserable, I didn't know you were that upset.
It was interesting to hear them say that they wish I told them that I was sleeping in the car because the mess bothered me. Because that to me is the nub of the issue. Because my belief is that things should be done that way, I don't want to have to nag at people, I just believe it should, so it gets to me when it's not, and I put the fault on me. I'm not happy with my compulsion. I know it's my problem, so I will go out to the car because it's my fault, and I deserve to be unhappy for wanting it a certain way. Driven by misery over teaspoons and my other compulsions, I moved out and went to live alone in the most anonymous place I could think of. I came to an area that you can see has absolutely nothing for it. And here on the left is my old flat. They've got the wrong bin out. They've got 32's bin out. In a perfectly rectangular two-bedroom flat above a line of garages, my obsessions multiplied as I tried to cope with anxiety about my career. All my compulsions were my own business, so I could just get on with them and not have to explain them to anyone. I thought if I move in on my own, it'll all be fine. And I would say it probably made it worse on bad days. I was sitting on the couch, the two cushions would move. I could feel one digging into my side and it wouldn't balance with how the other cushion was pressing in. And I would start sort of fidgeting and sort of ticking almost with sort of nervous energy to move things and sit, which I recognise now probably was not an improvement in my health. I was ready to live with other people again, or I certainly needed to be around people more. So I just, I got out. It seems to me that the more anxious I get, the more my compulsions take over. Hi, it's Jon Richardson. Thank you very much. It's time to speak to an expert. It's got to go past Big Gain, No Pains Limited and Window Rights International. I've come to the headquarters of Britain's biggest OCD charity. Hello. I want to know if compulsive behaviour is all there is to OCD.
This is the centre of OCD Action.
Yeah.
We're a national charity, but it's 2 small rooms. We have lots of people calling in who feel embarrassed about going to the doctor, will call us first. So they kind of come out to us, if you like, and then we sort of talk things through with them.
The bottom end of the scale, it's almost cool now, I think, for young people to say, I'm a bit OCD about my pens or my T-shirts and things like that. How easy is it to say what is a characteristic of OCD and what is something else? Would you say everyone is on the scale at some point?
The vast majority of people from this country, from humanity, would have elements of them that are OCD-like. And people will move up and down that scale all the time. I remember just one call that we took on our helpline really sticks out to me. So this is a guy phoning up saying, I think I've got OCD, it's really affecting me in my life. I'm constantly checking. You say, okay, well, tell me a bit about yourself, what's going on? So I'm a civil engineer, okay, I build bridges, right? And I'm checking all the time that they're all right. And I'm thinking, yeah, good, right? But this guy is spending hours and hours and hours above what should be doing. He's waking up at night, he can't sleep, he's constantly bombarded by images of piles up on the M1 of people dying, to the extent that it's gone beyond. And that's what it's about. It's about being bombarded by thoughts that you don't want, that you don't like, and you can't control.
There's stuff about your brain saying things over and over again. I'd never thought of that link so clearly. If you said what is OCD, people would say it's straightening a napkin or a fork so they're parallel. They wouldn't make that link to, it's the fact that your brain is telling you that if you don't do that, something bad will happen. And actually, I realise now, you know, maybe that's where the problem is. It's not having it straight, it's what you think will happen if it's not straight. And I hadn't thought a lot about that until now. I'd like to know what the consequences are of the obsessive thoughts that can come with more severe OCD. 35-year-old Gemma lives with her partner in Devon. Her OCD is classed as being profound. Gemma has near constant thoughts about contamination and spends a lot of her time cleaning.
I'm trying to remember how I do it.
Or thinking about cleaning. It leaves her virtually housebound.
I've done the whole of that chair, and that's been on the floor and is now on the chair, so I've got to do it all again. So I need another 11 in total starting again. 1, 2, 3.
Hello?
Hi Gemma, it's Jon Richardson.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I'll come out.
Okay, see you in a minute.
Yeah.
As a man who likes order and cleanliness, I'm looking forward to seeing the inside of her house. Hello, I'm Jon, how are you?
Hello. I'd rather not shake hands at the moment.
Fair enough,
No
absolutely
offence.
fine. Thanks for talking to us.
Are you expecting to come in?
It's totally your decision, it's your choice.
I've been planning cleaning for a long time so that you could come in.
Right.
But unfortunately, I haven't achieved anything, so you can't.
Okay.
With no offence meant whatsoever.
That's fine, I understand, it's your house.
Yeah.
It has to be your rules.
But you can come on the balcony.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do we get to the balcony?
This is really embarrassing, but basically, if you could wipe your feet in our communal hallway, if I show you how.
Yes.
I know,
you tell me exactly what to do.
I know you have clean shoes, because I've seen you show them on 8 out of 10 cats, but that doesn't actually matter, because it's the fact that you've trod on the floor.
It's the floor that's dirty, not the people.
Just basically do this only 3 times.
3 times each foot?
Yeah. So just a ridiculous exaggeration of a foot wipe. I'll come round with you.
Okay. Are you okay? I want you to feel
please don't tread on those things, any of these.
Okay.
This is our spare room, and at the moment it's basically a sealed room because it's completely clean.
So can you describe to me what you've done in this room that means to you it's perfectly clean?
It's just dusted with disposable dusters that the dirt sticks to from top to bottom. It's hoovered with a Dyson allergy hoover. So it's just completely dust-free.
Okay. One of the boxes says
it
has papers in it, and then it says brackets dusted.
Yeah.
Would that mean you would dust each sheet of paper?
Yes, I don't normally do it anymore, but I used to dust paper as well. You'd think that would sound like an improvement, but my OCD just morphs into something else.
And dust the main problem?
Yes, that's my big problem. It's all types of dust, especially toilet tissue dust, but it's all forms of dust because it's an uncontrollable particle.
And what is your fear of dust, that it'll go into your body?
Yeah, most people don't get that immediately.
Okay.
But basically, it's the thought. I realise it can't physically hurt me, it can't give me cancer or anything, but I feel mentally contaminated by it. And basically, I feel that if it gets inside me, you can't clean your inside, so it will be in there.
Okay.
And I'll just feel unclean forever. Yeah, this is our balcony. Could you please not touch the railings?
So just step straight over?
Yeah. The contamination problem started with communal living. When I went to university, a lot of them would fry in a wok various bits of meat and it would spit everywhere. So for some reason, I started wiping the worktops with toilet roll, and then it progressed to Dettol surface spray and just got worse and worse and worse. This is a list that's
This is when I was trying to clean all the house so that you could come in.
So this is just a cleaning list, the whole thing?
Yeah. There's all the different things that I'm wiping and how many wipes. There's 7 on the armchair, 2 on the coffee table.
As well as cleaning compulsions, Gemma also has a need to continually rewrite and proofread anything she's written. Do you feel like you have to get the list done completely before you can move on to the cleaning?
That's one of my obsessions, is perfectionism. I've got into this habit of standing all day when I'm not cleaning in the kitchen. My partner leaves for work about 7:45 and I can be there till the afternoon just doing a list. I don't know where the time goes, but I've basically achieved nothing. I haven't finished the list, I haven't done any cleaning, and just hours and hours have gone.
So you're with a partner, does he have to do things a certain way as well, or...?
We argue a lot and come extremely close to splitting up. He did ask me to leave in January because he can't cope with me anymore. But we're hoping, we love each other, and we're hoping that I can get some treatment. But basically, if my treatment doesn't work, I will leave him because it's not fair on him.
I realise how lucky I am that my compulsions are so controllable, and they are my choice. And it makes me nervous that might change, as she, you know, that she's gone from a point of having no compulsions from university in 15 years to being practically housebound is really worrying.
On the inside.
And until she gets help, she's a prisoner of OCD. Lovely.
Toast is coming.
Thank you very much. Yes, some brown sauce would be great, thank you. So in order to table layout, if you're going to eat your breakfast perfectly, it starts now. So, thank you very much indeed. Got to have the table vaguely symmetrical. I can't have the eggs nearest me. It's to do with planning. It feels respectful to my breakfast. We've gone for the crucifix formation today. If I'm honest, I have no idea whether what I do would qualify as OCD. It's something that I always do when I eat a breakfast, but I'm pretty sure that's because I enjoy it and it makes me laugh when I do it. So, and I know there will be people for whom even coming out to a cafe is just an impossibility because of their OCDs. So how do those with the most extreme forms of OCD get treated? In a mental health hospital in South London is the country's only dedicated inpatient unit for those severely affected by the condition.
Hi, you must be Jon. Yes, come on in. Welcome to the OCD service.
Such is the stigma around the condition that I can't get to meet any of the patients face to face. But Dr. Lynn Drummond has offered to show me around.
By the time people come here, they're really at the very severe end of OCD. And to justify needing these beds, they need to be either a danger to themselves or others, which with OCD is usually to do with lack of self-care. About half of the people, when they first come here, are incontinent of urine and faeces. That could be either because they're fearful of contamination from the toilets, or it could be that they're so slowed up trying to do everything so perfectly that they actually don't move very quickly. So you get people moving almost like robots when they first come.
Treatment here combines anti-anxiety medication and the recognised standard practice of what's called exposure and response prevention therapy, where patients are gradually encouraged to face their fears.
For example, if somebody has contamination issues, Jon, by dirt and germs from toilets, the first thing we might do would be to encourage you to touch the toilet handle, and then I would ask you to spread the contamination and to remain like that for several hours at one time. If you were able to do that and it was caused very little anxiety, we might move on and touch the taps, and then when you got very confident, to touch the toilet seat, and again, spreading the contamination.
My brain's saying we're going to shake hands when I go out and you've touched the toilet
well, I was actually rather hoping that you might be able to do that, Jon, as well.
This is just weird now, isn't it? You can touch it there.
If you could, you know, look, you see, I went for 2 hands.
Should I wash my hands afterwards? Before I go
I would
out?
ask you to wait for at least 2 hours before you washed your hands.
Right. Ooh. Right then.
That's it, well done. Good, good. And just move them around.
Oh, I could
Great,
feel
rub
that.
them together and touch yourself. Those clothes are going to be contaminated for the rest of the day. Just touch yourself.
Ooh.
Good, yeah,
I can do the trousers.
Great, well done, well done, that's tremendous.
I can feel where I've touched myself.
Yeah, good, excellent. And the hair. Run your fingers through the hair. Oh, what about this? Good, good all
Someone's
around.
just shat on my head.
That's really good. Given the choice between the risk of what I just did and spending 20, 30, 40 years imprisoned by OCD, would this be worth the risk? I think the answer to me is it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Let's move away from the toilet.
Well done. I think you did really well in there, Jon. It's the kind of thing we'd do in treatment. But obviously I'd never start at that level normally. But as you practiced it, I think you'll find that over the next 1 to 2 hours, your anxiety will dissipate and will go down. You might be surprised at how quickly people can actually turn around once they've got the help, once they've got the support, and once they realise the job that needs to be done.
80% of people here respond well to this practical style of treatment. The ways of coping and the ways of getting back to a normal life seem very strong. And I think this is the first time I've felt positive that you can move back down the scale and you can control things more and be happier. It leaves me with piss and poo on my hands. Poop hands. Oh, I'm not gonna die, am I? Tell me I'm not gonna die. You can get Lynn to tell me I'm not going to die. So where do all my compulsions and obsessions come from?
Exit ahead.
I've come to Lancaster, where I grew up, to meet the person who knows all my secrets. Come to see my mum to find out. Oh. Hello, Mummy! Alright, let's go up and find out if I was a weird child. Hello, how are you? Look nice. You realise we'll just edit this out if it displeases me.
Well, that's why I got them out, thinking that. See, you did have to cope with some hideous wallpaper, but I just wanted to show you there was a time when you didn't mind being covered in food.
I know, that's horrible. It upsets me now. Well, I'm clearly reaching for a towel or a sponge or something.
And then I found this one, which shows beautifully that you always had a fondness for tidy shelving. You had sort of compact little areas, little zones of perfection, arranged neatly and orderly, and that you knew where things were.
Have you ever had any compulsions? I remember you telling me about hand washing a bit.
When your sister was born, I became very protective, so I wanted to protect her from germs and bacteria, so I washed my hands so much every opportunity that the skin on the back of my hands became very rough and would bleed because of this fear of germs and what might hurt her. It's still there. I know that when I'm less happy in myself, it's worse. So
you still have a bit, don't you? Still,
oh,
if we
yeah,
eat
quite
out
a
and
lot.
things,
Yes, yeah. And I would never embark on a journey without having, you know, antibacterial gel with me. And if I didn't have any, then I wouldn't be eating at all because as soon as I'm out of the house, my hands feel unclean. It's a bigger problem than I probably acknowledge.
I don't feel like I inherited anything in that sense.
I would be very surprised if my anxiety levels, as they were then, when you were both young didn't have made some impression. Sometimes you pass on things not consciously, and the person doesn't realise they're being passed on, but they're just there.
I had no idea she had that level of compulsive thought about germs and food. Suddenly it has this implied, well, you've got OCD and you've given it to me, and now I've got a disorder. And that feels so much heavier and so much more serious. And I guess that is what people say when they talk about the stigma of having a label. And to me, I'm only starting to think now, I actually really hope I haven't got it, because I hope that these things are my choice. For some people, OCD definitely does seem to run in the family. I'm on my way to meet one such couple in Cornwall. Eric lives on a small holding with dozens of rescued animals. His wife, Joyce, is a former office administrator who has a morbid fear of the spread of contaminants inside her house.
I'm just cleaning my shopping because I'm not comfortable putting it into the fridge unless I feel it's been cleaned. These are now ready to go in the cupboard because they've been decontaminated. So they can go in the cupboard.
In Joyce's family, OCD has been passed on in what appears to be a genetic link with disastrous consequences.
Good morning, Mr. Richardson.
I'm John, nice to meet you. How are you?
Yeah, welcome. Do come in.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Ideally coat off.
Right.
Ideally, if you're not going to be cold.
No, that's fine.
Right.
You have a warm house. You have a lovely house.
Oh, we've got a nice warm house.
Thank you very much.
And then shoes off at the door.
Shoes off at the door?
Shoes off at the door, and then you can come in. Basically, when we come in, if we've been doing something out, we have to bath and change into clean clothes. Then we are free to do what we like in the house. We have a barrier, an invisible barrier between the contaminated and the uncontaminated section. It's just at the door threshold, right?
Yes.
Come in very carefully. As long as you don't touch things, you're all right. Right.
Joyce believes it's no accident that she's developed severe OCD.
This is what I call my office. You see, there's my father. Brilliant solicitor, absolutely brilliant. Had his own practice in Whitehall. He was said to be a very obsessional man. He very clearly had it, and it's broke his marriage to my mother. It's obvious from my family that this has just been handed down from generation to generation. That was me, see?
Oh, wow. Joyce developed her OCD when she became pregnant with her son, Martin. Her symptoms were so severe that she was unable to raise him. 20 years later, while he was at university, Martin was also diagnosed with OCD.
He got a double first-class honours degree because he's absolutely brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah, double first-class honours. He then went on to Oxford to do a PhD, and it came on during his first year at Oxford. It more or less stopped his studies in their tracks. That is Martin's thesis, right, from Oxford. This shows the mind of someone who is very, I mean, I don't understand a word of it. And they said he was well on the way to a PhD with this thesis.
You thank someone for being patient during a difficult but hopefully ultimately successful year.
That was OCD.
That's it kicking in.
That's it kicking in. That's it kicking in. Here is the OCD. This is the turmoil in his mind. I have spent my life almost completely alone. My life is work and OCD. I'm riddled with OCD. He was pinning notes up all round the flat, trying to make sense of what was going on in his mind, trying to use his rational brain to work out what was wrong. And his OCD was so bad at that stage, he was quite unable to do anything. He'd become terrified of contaminating his sofa, he'd been terrified of scratching his sink, so he couldn't use his kitchen, he couldn't go and sit down, he couldn't lie down, and all he could do was pace, and he paced all day and all night. What did he do? Well, he went out, he bought himself a pair of kitchen scales and liquidizer. He went and cut yew branches, he liquidised it and drank it. Suicide was by yew poisoning. People close to me know the reason, so I won't elaborate. except to say I'm sorry for the pain caused, and I hope everyone recovers quickly and goes on to live a happy and fulfilling life. Love, Martin. 4th, 12th, 07. People to inform. And then he's got a list of, as the OCD does, people to inform. To tell him that he's not there anymore. Sorry, John.
Don't be sorry at all. Don't
Awful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Terrible. Dreadful. A victim of this horrible, horrible illness. There you are, John. I'm all right with you touching paper, because paper can't be washed.
OK.
Not a problem.
Thanks. Cause of death, obsessive compulsive disorder.
This illness, in its worst form, kills. I think we were born with a time bomb ticking in our heads, waiting to go, yes. I'd have rather not been born than have my son die like that. I'm sorry if that upsets you, because I know you have trouble that way.
I guess I always assume it's something that can be dealt with. And I've never looked at it before as something that you're born with, that you always have it at some level. And, you know, it just makes you wonder, but for certain decisions you've made, what state you would be in.
I just hope it's not upset you, John, not going to affect you.
It's so hard to hear someone say to you that it would be better if they'd never been born. There's an element in which the compulsions completely eradicate any joy, and they completely remove any sense of enjoyment of life. Martin clearly didn't feel he could find a life with enough happiness in it to cope with his OCD. But, you know, clearly people do. Through medication or people or whatever the balance is, you find a way of controlling it and not it controlling you.
Hey, come on then, girl.
Despite the suicide of her son, Joyce and Eric have found a way of living with her OCD.
Come on then.
Outside of the house, Joyce is free from her fear of contaminants. And caring for rescued animals gives them both some peace of mind. On this journey, I've met people who undoubtedly will look at you with sadness in their eyes and tell you that they wish their lives were different and they wish they could do things differently but for these compulsions. And, you know, I'm not there, but there might be a few parts of my brain that function similar way, or maybe I get the same impulses at times. So it's time for me to find out once and for all whether I have quirks or obsessive compulsions. I'm on my way to Bath University for an assessment with one of the country's leading experts in OCD. If he tells me I've got diagnosed OCD, I don't think I'm quite prepared for the consequences, and it would, you know, I have a slight fear that things might get worse for me as I get older, and there's less pressure on me to control my compulsions as there is now. I am respectfully worried. I'm cautious, is what I am. For my assessment, I have to fill in a series of questionnaires and then have an extended psychological interview with Professor Paul Shalkowskis.
I'm speculating, and I kind of want you to test this in your head, really, about whether or not getting things just right gives you some sort of sense of control.
It gives me a focus, I guess, because of the, you know, if you're not thinking about where you put your cutlery, then what are you thinking about? 2 hours later, and the assessment is complete. It's time for the verdict.
OK, so, as it stands, I would say my diagnosis is that you've got some of the preoccupations that go along with OCD, or things like, you know, bodily fluids and stuff like that. You think about them rather more than other people do, so they're more in your head. and you are clearly a perfectionist. You're avoiding errors and mistakes. You're concerned about mistakes, and you have really very high standards for yourself. In terms of how often you're experiencing these obsessional symptoms, they're actually occurring quite frequently. You've got a score of 53 in the clinical range. People who have obsessive compulsive disorder, that starts at 60. But the frequency is not the important thing, it's how much they upset or distress you and interfere with your life. And in terms of distress, you're way down on that. So you're actually at the kind of level, average level of people who don't have OCD. And that's really the important thing, because when we talk about obsessive compulsive disorder, it's the disorder bit that defines it, the way it interferes with your life, and you haven't got that.
Yeah, I think that's all fair. So yeah, I feel very fortunate about that. I feel relieved and sort of content with that almost, that the things I'm doing, but at the moment they don't cause me any distress. And I would say 2 or 3 years ago my distress levels would have been higher. But now, you know, I feel like I do elect to do most of the things I do, and I do them because they calm my anxiety. Hello, Salisbury. It's time. Yeah, why not? Whoa, bit too much, bit too much. It's time to restart the show. Please welcome to the stage, me. I find it incredible that before I started doing this, I'd never met anyone with diagnosed OCD. Now, I'm in no doubt whatsoever about how serious it can be, and the effects that it has on your life can be totally negative. And I'm aware now that I'm very lucky that the things I do through choice, and my brain maybe works in a similar way to theirs, but I don't feel bad about it. And if I could have one wish for them, it would be that through treatment they can get to the point I feel I'm at, that I feel I have obsessive compulsive order. So my brain works in a measured and meticulous way. I keep my forks a certain way and I smooth my margarine over, but I'm happy with that. It seems quite simple to me, all this, right? And yet I'll watch them wash off and they'll lay the cutlery flat on the drainer.
Go to channel4.com/4goesmad for support info and visit Mad World to get a deeper understanding of OCD by taking a trip inside the mind of someone with the condition. Tomorrow, can potential employers guess the mental health of the applicants? It's the world's maddest job interview at 10. For next tonight, Thelma's Gypsy Girls.